The LEGO Dungeons & Dragons minifigures series is undoubtedly LEGO's coolest and highest quality CMF to date, and today I wanted to build out what a Series 2 could look like. Anyways, let's get straight into the figures. For the first minifig, we start off with a widely known character from D&D, Drizzt Do'Urden. If you don't know him, he's a Drow Ranger, and he looks absolutely sick in the art that I've seen. I've given him his iconic dual swords using the elf swords from Rivendell, and then I've used the Mouth of Sauron legs and a Nazgul torso, along with the Wolfpack Beastmaster's cape to really give him a dark and cloaked look. His face comes from Strahd von Zarovich, and I think it works really well with the mouth covered to hide the fangs. Sadly, we don't have a real Drow hairpiece, but I hope LEGO will make one if they include some sort of Drow in a Series 2 or other D&D sets. For the next figure, I've made an Aasimar cleric. I've used the torso and legs from the Dragonborn Paladin as well as the wings from the Aarakocra Ranger as the base, and then I've given him Thor's head for the glowing eyes, which works super well for an Aasimar. For his accessories, I've used this sword that matches the gold on the armor and the dark blue necklace, and then finished him off with this dark blue energy piece. This figure turned out exactly how I would imagine an Aasimar cleric, and I'm really happy with the design. Moving on, we have one of the most common enemies in D&D, a goblin. I've given him an Uruk-hai torso with the arms from the Wolfpack Beastmaster along with the shoulder armor from the Series 15 Frightening Knight to give him a more armored look than most. The head comes from the Series 13 Goblin, and then I've used a round shield from a Fantasy Era skeleton so that it works with the short legs. He's a pretty sick figure, and I would love to see some goblins in future Dungeons & Dragons sets. For the next minifigure, I've tried my best to create one of the most well-known D&D characters, Vecna. I've mainly based this figure off the classic D&D style of him and not the Stranger Things version, so for the base I've used the dress and torso from the Series 13 Evil Wizard, as Vecna is often depicted in dark red, and it's a really cool looking style overall. I've then used the head and upper cape from Zaz Tam as it's easily the best option for a Lich, and I've used this red and black Darth Maul crown on top. I would preferably like this Ninjago armor piece to be gold instead of red, but I don't have that version, and either way I think he looks pretty cool and is a pretty accurate representation of Vecna, although I would love to hear suggestions for improvement. Moving on to the third and final named D&D character, we have Volothamp Goddarm. He's a super classic D&D character, and when I first saw him in Baldur's Gate, I instantly thought of the LEGO Series 22 Bard's torso and legs, which I used as the base. The collar from the Shakespeare CMF was a perfect match for him, although the hat I'm not quite as happy with, but it seemed like the best option available. Now for the head, I used the one from Beaufort the Dwarf, which works pretty well, although ideally I would prefer one with a full beard. I gave him the book from Tasha to complete his look, and I'm still happy with how he turned out, despite the face and hat not being the most accurate. Next up, I've created a Goliath fighter using this head from a Monster Fighter zombie. The torso is from the Series 19 Fright Knight combined with the arms from the Frightening Knight, and the legs are from a Kingdom's Dragon Knight. I've given him a big bulky Uruk-hai shield, some bulky shoulder pads, and another bulky armor piece to cover his mouth from Nexo Knights. Goliaths are typically a good bit bigger than humans, so I wanted to make him look visually bigger with all the large armor and weapon pieces. I also gave him this smaller hair piece from the Blacktron Mutant to keep a minimal haired look without the stud being exposed. Overall, he looks super cool, and I'm really happy with what I came up with. For this next figure, we have a half-orc rogue using some Rohan torso and legs as the base with this awesome looking hood piece from the Series 16 rogue. For the face, I've used the one from the Monster Rocker CMF because it still has a very human look while maintaining the olive green skin of an orc, and it works super nicely for a half-orc in my opinion. I've given him a dark green Mando cape and the daggers from the Githyanki Warlock, and I'm super happy with how he looks. Moving on, we have a gnome artificer with a steel dog that he's created. I wanted to include all the classes that weren't in the original D&D series, so I just had to make this guy. I've used the back of the Steampunk Inventor's torso as the base, as it works fantastic for an artificer, and then I've used a Dumbledore head along with a white beard piece and hair from the Elf Bard, and I think this combo looks fantastic. To finish him off, I gave him a hammer for tinkering and a potion of sorts, and then of course a robot dog from the Space CMF. Next up, I've made a bugbear using the Marvel CMF werewolf as the base. I didn't change a whole lot as the head, torso, and legs were honestly perfect, but I gave him this orc hairpiece from Lord of the Rings, which just matches up so well. I've also given him this cool spiky shoulder armor along with a mace to top him off, and overall I think he represents a bugbear super well. Moving to the next minifigure, we have a half-elf wizard that uses a torso from Dumbledore combined with the legs from the LEGO Movie Shakespeare CMF. I gave her a fairly human-looking face print to go along with the elf hairpiece to try to make her look a bit less elvish and capture the half-elf look. I've finished her off with a cool golden staff along along with a fireball in her other hand, and I'm pretty happy with how she turned out. For the second to last figure, I've made a human ranger. I wanted to include the rest of the popular D&D races that weren't the original series, and I decided why not add a human as it's the most played race. The torso comes from Oin the Dwarf, and the legs come from the Series 3 Elf, and then I finished her off with a dark green hood and cape along with a longbow. Overall, I'm really happy with her clean and simple aesthetic. For the final minifigure, we have a Fire Genasi monk. I struggled the most finding a good face print and overall look for a Genasi monk because I was originally trying to do a water or earth one, but once I saw this face print from Dreams, I knew it was perfect. His torso is from Kai, and the dress and fire pieces come from Zaz Tam, and then I've used this orange, almost fiery looking hairpiece from the Space CMF Ice Planet Explorer, and I'm happy with how he turned out. I absolutely love that LEGO is doing some Dungeons and Dragons stuff, and I really hope we get another CMF wave and some more sets in the future. If you guys have any feedback on this video or ideas for what you would want to see LEGO do with the D&D line, let me know in the comments, and also let me know which figure was your favorite. Also, if you want to earn a free $30, you can sign up with Rakuten using my affiliate link in the description. If you like LEGO Castle content or LEGO D&D content, subscribe because I make a new video every week, and as always, thank you so much for watching.